was a dark, moonlit night on the island of Sodor. The full moon and the sound of children on the streets meant this was no ordinary evening. It was Halloween night. And as tradition would have it, Edward was telling tales around the turntable.
Oh, that was a good story, Edward,
Whistled Percy.
It certainly made my axles tingle.
Chuffed Thomas.
That's tame for you, Edward. Normally you can cause my tender to quiver. Haven't you got one we've not heard before?
Said James, who was grinning rather smirkily in his shed.
OK, James, how about this one?
And so Edward told his tale.
There once was a diesel locomotive that ran on the main line. It was a kind engine, similar to Bear and Bucko. In fact, it ran along the line smoothly and kept trains to time, until eventually he stumbled across a ghostly figure that looked like a ginty. Bit experimental. It told the diesel that he was next. The diesel just rolled his eyes, telling the mini ginty to move out of his way. All of a sudden, the minty muttered a curse upon the diesel. When the diesel woke up the next day, he found he had trouble starting up. This was normal for diesels during the winter, but this even occurred in the summer. Soon his trains became later and later, and he became increasingly unreliable. Until one night, while preparing to bank a gunpowder train up Gordon's Hill, the silly trucks broke free and crashed straight into him, leaving nothing but a single bogey. To this day, no one is quite sure where the bogey is, but what we do know is every Halloween he goes hunting for his bogey, cursing anyone who gets in his way.
Blimey, Edward, that was very scary. I don't want to pull them out tonight now. Pah, don't be a scaredy engine, Percy. It's not real. We'd have known the story by now if it was true. I guess you're right. Come along, Thomas. We best get the post trains ready. Right you are, Percy. Thanks for telling us the spooky stories, Edward.
I reckon you should help them tonight, James. It's a full moon, and we know how Percy gets, especially with the fog rolling in later.
Ugh, alright then.
James left the shed and went to help Thomas and Percy. Edward slept too comfortably that night. He knew something was amiss, but didn't quite know what. Soon the three engines were working the mail train nicely. Then the fog rolled in. On one of the stops, the engines had all met up to exchange mail.
How are you two doing? I'm okay, but I keep noticing red glowing dots around Gordon's Hill. Most likely the kids playing tricks. I've seen them too. One turned off at me as if someone was winking. It's probably just a faulty wire in the light, Percy. Oh, I hope it is.
Soon the last of the mail was transferred, and James set off towards Vicarstown. However, when he got to the hill, his wheels stopped altogether. James whistled for a banker, but no one came. Suddenly he felt a bump and was soon puffing up the hill. When James arrived back at the station, he explained it to Thomas, who had also experienced the same thing. So they made a plan to stake out the hill.
Why are we doing this again, James? To find us who keeps on bumping us on the hill, Percy.
So Percy blew his whistle, and again came the bump without warning. This time though, James and Thomas could see what was happening. The two shot forward and past Percy.
Percy, you fool! It's the ghost diesel, run!
Percy began to pick up speed, and when Percy got to the top of the hill, the ghost engine disappeared. They were just slowing down when it appeared on the line opposite Percy, who happened to be by a rail bank.
Who dares me from finding my bogey?
Oh, relax. We're just taking the mail train, so there's no need for...
Being cocky, Red? I don't appreciate cockiness.
I'm sorry, Mr. Diesel, but James is like that. Even when he's being kind, he sounds cocky.
And who are you to tell me how this engine acts, Thomas the Tank Engine? For the most cocky, arrogant engine I have ever had the misfortune to meet. I ought to curse you. But if you know where my bogey is, I'll let you stay as you are.
Well, I don't know, but it could well be in the scrap. I have it! Well, it's not on me per se, but it is nearby.
Where is it?
It's where you left it 10 years ago, before it disappeared without a trace. But I know how it happened if I just do this.
Buzzing emits from what appears to be a vape device, and a blue box materializes with the bogey.
There is your bogey. Now go and possess it.
Percy biffed the bogey, causing it to roll down the bank, just before it reaches the diesel, dragging the spirit of the diesel with it.
You for this, small green. I'll return somehow, someday.
And then, silence. The engines got their breath back, and the TARDIS dematerialised. They all finished up in safety. When they returned to the shed, they looked at Edward, and Edward looked back knowingly. He knew, one day, Diesel 10 would return.